Hey guys, welcome back to Talk About Strange. Thank you for joining me here today. I got a very important response from Sabrina. If you remember her, she's the one that was attacked by her ex and was saved from a Bigfoot saved her in this situation. The Mount Vernon Monster came to her rescue and helped her get out of a forest. She's being attacked by her ex. It's just a real horrible situation, terrifying. You guys asked some questions. She answered some and sent us a reply in regards to that. And you guys asked to hear about those dreams that she's been having. So she wanted to respond about that and share that information with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump right into it. But I want you to know I'm going to go ahead and reread the entire story and then continue on to the dream, the question. What is that? Q&A and the dreams. So I'll invite you guys to stay and listen to that story over again because it was a phenomenal story. And for those of you who just really don't want to hear the story again but want to skip, I'll put the timestamp up there for you. Feel free to skip ahead. I want you to know, though, that I'm going to see what I can do. There's an area when we post these videos that we can do a donation. I'm going to see what I can do to donate the proceeds of this video all through this month to the to a domestic violence foundation. If I can't find one on there, I will find one. And any of the proceeds that come from this video and the one that she sent to me prior for this entire month, I'm going to put to a domestic violence charity, housing, or whatever the case may be. And I'm going to do that in your name, Sabrina, for you, just to say thank you. And I know that you want people to be safe out there. And so to help get your message out, that's what I want to do. So that's what we're going to do. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the story. You guys kick back and enjoy, and let's make something positive out of all this, right? All right, let's get going. Here we go. From the beginning, from the top, as they say. Hello, my name is Sabrina. It's my real name, and you're welcome to use it. I am a 32-year-old personal trainer. I now live in Florida because of the events I am about to share with you. I was born in Seattle, Washington, but grew up in Skagit County. You may have heard of Mount Vernon or maybe even these fun facts. When I was really young, I remember seeing a film crew in the town of Concrete when they were filming that really creepy movie, The Ring. Yeah, I remember. They also filmed a part of the movie called This Boy's Life with Leonardo DiCaprio near Skagit. I don't remember exactly where that was, but I guess it really doesn't matter. I hope you don't mind if I give you a short synopsis of my life. It may explain why I am still alive. Growing up, I was a little on the heavy side. That wasn't until I reached middle school where I joined into every sport I possibly could. I even tried cheerleading, but preferred playing on the team. By the time I finished high school, I knew what I wanted to do in college. I knew I wanted to go to college for physical therapy and possibly continue on for my DPT for sports therapy. But of course, I had to meet this really hot guy named David. He was a few years older than me, and my father hated him, mostly because he didn't want me getting distracted by some guy. But I was young and lovesick fool and didn't want to be told what to do. A few weeks into that relationship, David started getting really obsessive and bossy. All of a sudden, I wasn't allowed to hang out with my friends or even tell my parents anything about what we were doing or the places we were going. When I tried to talk to him about college, he shut me down, and hard. So one night I told him that it wasn't working out, and he slapped me across the face so hard I almost passed out. That scared the shit out of me. So I lied and said that I was sorry and I just wanted to see how much I meant to him. He said he was sorry and that we would always be together. He tried to get me to stay with him until the bruise on my cheek healed up, but my father demanded that I get home or he was going to call the police. So as soon as David dropped me off, he said I'd better tell them that I'd fallen down. Well, good luck getting that over on my overprotective father. As soon as he saw my face, he chased David down and beat the living crap out of him. He told him if he ever came near me again, he would put him in the hospital before having him arrested. Needless to say, David stopped coming around, but every once in a while he would still call me and even saw him sneaking around while I was out with my friends. Sick man. My parents didn't waste any time helping me get enrolled and off to college. They even hired a bodyguard to stay close by and keep an eye on me until we were satisfied that David wasn't coming around or following me. I never saw him, not once, the whole time I was in college, but only stayed long enough to get my bachelor's degree. I just needed a little break from it for a while and fully intended on going back to get my doctorate. So I returned home and had all but forgotten about David and figured he must have moved on by now anyway. It was really nice to reconnect with some of my friends, though some were still off in college and others had moved away. But my bestie was still there and even helped me get a job in a local athletic club. Within a few weeks, I started dating one of the other trainers. He was super nice and a true gentleman. I'd been working there for about 6 months when one day I glanced over at the lobby window, and for a moment I was certain that I saw David looking in. It sent a cold chill right down my spine. I looked back and he was gone. A friend at the desk asked me if I was okay. She said I looked pale. I just said, yeah, I'm fine, thinking it was just my head or someone that looked like David at a glance. After that, I kept seeing him at different times and places, but never long enough to be 100% certain it was him. I really thought it was just my brain playing tricks on me. I told my father about it, and he said he would look into it to be certain that if he was still in the area or not. Then, just like that, I stopped seeing him. There are quite a few wilderness trails around Skagit County, and my friend and I ran them all at one time or another. Sometimes if she didn't go, my boyfriend would. But this one particular day, against my better judgment, when neither of them could go, I chose to go alone. I drove out to one of my favorite spots for the scenery in the South Cascades. No one else was around, so I did some stretches for a bit, grabbed my taser, and set out. Yes, I do carry a pretty serious taser. My dad bought it for me for my birthday. I wanted a dog. Anyway, I started out with a jog to warm up before going into a full sprint. I just love the feeling I get while running through the trails. I like to imagine myself as a deer running strong and free. Everything speeds up to a zoom past the trees and the branches. Your heart starts pounding as you're running up and down the hills. Sometimes it literally feels like you're floating, especially as you break over a small hill. It makes me feel so alive and free. I run until I feel like my legs are I'm starting to lose my balance, and then I slow down to a walk until I get recharged, and then I do it again until I get to my favorite resting area with the most spectacular view. Then I take my time jogging back. Only this time I was standing there admiring the view when out of nowhere it smelled like someone had opened up the lid to hell's dumpster. The smell was awful. I pinched my nose and said, shoo-wee. Oh my God, that's awful. I looked around for something dead, but didn't see anything. It was so bad I had to skip my mid-run stretches and just started jogging back. When I was clear of the smell, I stopped and did a few stretches. That's when I started getting this uneasy feeling of being watched. I just shrugged it off and started jogging again, but only took a few steps before hearing a few sticks breaking loudly in the woods. I stopped quick and listened, but I didn't hear anything else. I was starting to worry about a bear or a mountain lion that might be stalking me. So I pulled out my taser and held it in my hand and then began jogging again. But this time I was really trying to watch my surroundings. I was only about a third of the way back when out of nowhere David stepped out onto the path in front of me. I quickly stopped and put my hands out towards him and said, "Whoa, what the hell, Dave? What are you doing here?" He said, "I just want to talk to you." I said, "No, we don't have anything to talk about." He smiled and tried to tell me how good I'm looking. I said, "David, listen to me. I don't want to talk, so just let me pass." He looked at my hand and asked what the taser was for. I said, "I don't know," and looked around. "You tell me." I can picture that. About that time, I smelt that awful smell again. He smelt it too and said, "What the F is that?" It was strong. He instinctively put his hands over his mouth and nose while looking around for the cause of it. When he did that, I turned and ran back the way I came, but I wasn't fast enough. He grabbed me by the back of my shorts and pulled me down. I fell forward on my hands and dropped my taser. I started screaming out for him to stop, but he pulled my shorts and underwear down past my feet. I kept kicking at him and asked him what he was doing and why. He just kept saying, I just want to talk to you. I asked him again, why? And he said, I'm going to make you love me again, or I'm going to kill you and then myself. I kept fighting and managed to spin around onto my back. So when he climbed up on me, I grabbed his ear and tried to rip it off his head. But he knocked my hand away and smacked my face 2 or 3 times as he continued trying to have his way with me. I looked around and found my taser and let him up as hard as I could squeeze the trigger. I don't know if the battery was low or what, but it did do enough to get him off me long enough to get up and run, only I still ran in the wrong direction. At this point, I was half naked and my sports bra was half torn. I only had one sneaker and had to kick it off so I could continue to run. Otherwise, he would have never caught me with both shoes on. I ran back to my rest area and he was close behind me. I felt him grabbing at my arm, but I was so sweaty his hand slipped off. I tried to stop fast and slip around him so I could run for my car, but we were still miles out in the woods and I needed to get my shoes. So I slid to a stop and tried to slip past him. He grabbed my wrist. I still had my taser, so I pressed it against his hand where he was holding me. He let go quickly and called me a bitch, but I got away. He wanted to kill me for sure, I know it. So I ran as hard as I could in order to gain some distance from him. I scooped up my first shoe and kept running. Just ahead, I could see my shorts, panties, and other shoe where he grabbed me. I literally slid on my knees and grabbed them up in my arms, jumped up and kept running. Lucky for me, David had to stop and catch his breath or something because I didn't see him when I stopped long enough to start putting my shorts and shoes on. But then I heard sticks breaking behind me, so I jumped to run, but by the time I reached my feet, David had grabbed my hair and pulled me back down. This time he slammed my head on the ground. But I was still lucid enough to roll over and put my knees between me and him. Then as hard as I could, I hit him in the side of the head with the glass-breaking side of the taser. It was a sharp metal tip that I knew would hurt like hell. That stunned him enough for me to get back up one more time and start running again. The only trouble was by then, I couldn't see straight. I think it was from the hit to my head on the ground. I tried my best, but it wasn't long before he was close behind me. So I tried as hard as I possibly could to shake it off, knowing I was going to have to fight him off again. Whew. That's when I heard a sound I'll remember for the rest of my life. It was this loud-ass howl mixed with a high-pitched scream that pierced my ears and even made it hard to think or move. That followed by David screaming out, "What the F? Get away from me." I'm sorry, but that was the first time I ever prayed for a wild animal attack to be happening. Still, those screams are forever etched in my brain. As I continued to stumble, thinking I could be next, I looked back and couldn't believe my eyes. There was a big hairy creature running up behind him. I thought it was a black bear, but it was way too tall and had hands and arms like a human. Even its face looked sort of human, but its eyes just as black as anything I'd ever seen. He or it was reaching for David. He kept hollering, "Get the F off me," but it just kept grabbing at him. I kept going and eventually stopped hearing both of them. When I got to my car, I jumped in, locked the doors, and drove off looking in my rearview mirror. As soon as I was far enough away, I called my dad and told him what had happened. He said, come straight home, He said, come straight home, and he was going to call the police. The police and the feds showed up. They said they searched everything and didn't find anything other than a few tracks that could have belonged to anybody. Then questioned me like I was on drugs. They said they would keep an eye open for David and told my father that I probably had some sort of psychological breakdown or was making it up for attention. But he knew me better than that and I knew exactly who saved my life that day. I did some research and found out there are several eyewitnesses that have seen the legendary Mount Vernon Monster, aka Bigfoot. Most people are scared of him, but as far as I am concerned, he is a hero. Even if it was just a coincidence, David would have killed me that day. If not for that MVM, I might have become a lost pile of bones in the woods. Things were never the same after that day. My boyfriend had family in Florida, so we decided to move here for a while. It's been 10 years. We got married, have 2 kids. He is still the perfect gentleman and my sweetheart. My parents couldn't get me to move back, so they moved here too. I miss running through those forests, but the beach is a good trade-off. Well, that's all I have for you. I hope that it was worth the read. I appreciate you telling our stories because it can be a hard thing to talk about without sounding insane. I'm glad there are communities out here like you that are open-minded enough to listen and not judge us. If you want, maybe someday I will write you about some of my reoccurring dreams I've had ever since that day. Yours truly, Sabrina. Okay, now that was the first story. I know you guys really enjoyed that. So I'm going to move right on to the Q&A and about her dreams. So get ready. You guys are going to really enjoy this. Here we go. Part 2. Hello again. It's me, Sabrina. Wow, you are all so amazing, understanding, caring, and welcoming. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate all of your love and support you have shared with me. I was honestly so scared that after having my story read publicly, I might be laughed at, ridiculed, and called a crazy-ass liar. But instead, you all put my heart and my mind at ease. Thank you so much, especially you, Steve. What you are doing here for all of us is so, lots of O's, incredibly special and important. People need a place to feel safe and welcome. I'm just so glad that I found your platform. Okay, moving on to some of the comments and questions I hear about my dreams. First, several people asked if I know what happened or become of David. I really don't have any clue. That was truly the last time I laid eyes on him, and I am very thankful for that. Look, I would never purposely wish any harm to anyone, but that man is very dangerous. I can't say that I hope he got away, but if he did, I hope he learned a lesson. Someone asked why the feds were there and mentioned Men in Black. I never thought about that, and it's a great question. I just assumed they were feds, but now I'm wondering as well. If you mentioned being in similar situations with abusive men, I'm so sorry that you went through that, and I hope you have been able to put that behind you and begin your healing process. Stay strong and remember, it's not your fault. If you're still in that situation, please get help. It's out there. A lot of you asked about my reoccurring dreams, so I guess I better go ahead and share them as well. I hope they make sense. All right. For several weeks after the attack, all I had was vivid nightmares of David chasing me through those woods. Sometimes, just as I thought I had outrun him, he would come out of nowhere, put his hands around my throat, and he drove me to the ground. Even with my hands free, I would punch, slap, and claw at him, but it didn't seem to faze him. Every time I woke up choking and gagging as if it really happened again and again. Other times he caught me. Other times, if he caught me, he would start punching me over and over until I woke up from it. But then in some of the dreams, the Mount Vernon Monster, or Bigfoot, would be chasing him, and he would do those things to him, as David did to me. But never did he ever appear to want to hurt me. After months of counseling, the dreams of David seemed to change. Somehow I took back my power over him, and in the dreams I would win the fights against him. And then one day I just stopped dreaming about David and all them in those dreams altogether. But I never stopped being visited by my Bigfoot friend. It's not all the time, though. It's mostly whenever I'm feeling vulnerable or scared or something. Sometimes I've dreamed that we are just sitting together there in that forest in my favorite resting area. This is where it gets strange, though. I don't know how or why, but sometimes I feel like he is literally someplace close by me, watching over me. A couple of times while I was out for walks in the parks and trails, I swear I would catch a glimpse of him, and a couple of times I swear I heard footsteps in the woods. I just don't know if it is in my head or if he's actually literally looking over me now and forever. Maybe you all can tell me the answer to that. We don't talk, or at least I don't think we do. He just seems to understand what I am thinking, and I seem to understand what he is thinking. Only it's through emotions, not words, if that makes any sense at all. I don't believe I'm crazy or anything like that because I saw what I saw all those years ago, and I haven't stopped seeing him since. I'm just wondering if it is a figment of my imagination. Oh, here's something else I forgot, but probably has nothing to do with it, but I'm going to ask anyway. Every once in a while, we, meaning either me or someone in the house, finds fresh wild fruits and nuts in a pile on the porch at the left side of our front door. And I mean a pile like 6 or 8 pounds of it. Once there was an entire honeycomb sitting on top of the pile with some bees still on it still. My husband thought it was funny and said, "Talk about sticky nuts," laugh out loud. Oh no. But I'm the one that got stung twice cleaning it up. I have to admit it was kind of funny though. So do you think there's any chance that he might have followed me here and is leaving this stuff on our porch for me? Bigfoot, not David. Or do we just have some very strange but generous neighbors? Well, that's all I can think of right at the moment. Mostly, I just want to say thank you all for hearing me and looking forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Thank you, Steve. Sabrina. Well, there you have it. There's your follow-up about the dreams. I mean, wow. So, Sabrina, the entire situation, whew, I mean, how horrifying what happened to you. And I'm so sorry that you went through that. And so glad that you came through it so strong and got the help you needed. And I appreciate you sending that message to everybody else, anybody out there who's suffering from domestic violence. Get help. It's out there. Look for help. Be safe. Be careful, but look for help. You do not need to go through that, and it is not your fault. Wow. And the dreams, yeah, I can kind of understand those dreams. I personally can't tell you if it's really him or not. I guess my theory would be yes. One way or another, it's him protecting you or looking over you. Maybe you still feel like you need it somehow, and that might be why. And that's okay. That's okay. So I'm sure a lot of other people on here will understand that, and it will have a lot of advice and thoughts on that for you, what they believe. The census is that once you're connected to one of them, to a Klansman, to a Bigfoot, whatever you want to, wherever you're calling them, they're connected to you and stay connected to you as long as needed, or maybe forever. I don't know. So I'm interested to see also what other people have to say about that. But I just think it's a real blessing and a wonderful thing, especially with the price of fruits and nuts these days, right? I mean, hey, I'm just saying, right? You're saving a fortune. The honey, on the other hand, and I love honey, but I don't think I want raw honey with bees all over it. So, but still, I'd take the honeycomb. Anyway, very cool. Very cool. Thank you so much for following up with us with all that. Thank you for all your kind words and communicating back with us about that. I know how hard it must have been. And again, just sharing your dreams. I know that can be hard too. It's very personal. So, it's really much appreciated. So anyway, Sabrina, thank you so much. I hope we hear from you again to let us know how you're doing and maybe a follow up to whatever comes next from this. But other than that, thank you again for sharing that with us. Okay, everybody, that's it. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go back to working on my siding. Anyway, like I said, let's see what we can do with all this. Get this passed out there, share it with other people, and get this message out there. I think it's a great story, and we'll see what we can do to maybe let this help some other people somehow. In the middle of domestic violence situations and that. So, all right, very good. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. I will see you again really soon.